If you're trying to learn the Blue Ninja Man Kage Maru, you came to the right video. But before we jump into it, I'm gonna leave this numpad notation on screen for a second, so that way you can look at it and know what I'm referring to when talking about Kage's inputs. Okay, so the way I'm gonna format this video is I'm just gonna go over his highs, mids, and then lows. And then after that, I'll just go into his throws and then his combo game. So that way you know just how this video is going to go about. So starting off, we have Kage's PK. So his P is going to be his fastest button. And he has a few extensions. He has PPP, and then PPK, and then he has PPKK. These will mainly be used for like combos, juggles, but PK is a good poke and a good punisher, so if they do something punishable, you can just check them with this. On block, you're only -4, so if they try to take their turn back, you can sidestep, and then you can go for your punish if they do something slower, of course. He can also go into his stance from this, which is done by pressing P plus K plus G after doing the string. I'll go over his stances after I go over like his key moves and stuff. And on counter hit, if they mash after the punch, you can go for a combo. And you get 55 damage off it, which is pretty good. Next is 4P. This is his fast backspinning elbow. It's 13 frames and leaves Kage at +3 on hit. He has a kick extension, so this will be another good punisher and a whiff punisher. So if you see them whiff something, you can just react really quick and get a quick 39 damage and a knockdown. On block, this is +1, which makes Ryu able to continue his pressure with like a down poke or possibly a fast mid if his opponent's conditioned. So he can do something like that. Or 4P into 6P. It's really good. He can also go into his stance from this. He has 2 stances he can go into, which I'll go into later in the video. But these stances can be good to go into. Just note that. His next high is 4P plus K, which is this like swiping move. It's 17 frames startup, but it's -4 on block, which allows Kage to sidestep if his opponent decides to take their turn back. But he also has a follow-up after by pressing P again. And he goes into a low, but it can be blocked crouching as well because it's an EX low. Oh no, it's not. Never mind. But you can also delay it too. So if you like condition them to try and take their turn back after just doing this, you can then delay it and get a counter hit. If you delay it and they press, you are +5 on hit. So you can go for a pretty good strike throw mix up after. You can use kind of a slower move and get a counter hit. Next up is just his 5K. It's a pretty fast kick and it's 16 frames startup, -7 on block. But if you manage to hit them, you do get a knockdown, but not much off it. But if you get a counter hit, you get a... And if they don't tech roll, you can go for a combo. You notice it says 3 in green. That's because it means the opponent could roll. But if your opponent can't roll or doesn't roll, you can abuse that and go into follow-up. One high I almost forgot to go over from Kage's, which is really good. It's a little slow on 24 frames, but it's his 4K plus G. It's this like roundhouse kick that he does, but it has a special property to it. You have to time it properly because it's like a 1 frame or 2 frame link. You have to press throw as soon as his kick connects. And he'll get this throw. The neat part is he can even do this when they block it. So I think you get slightly less damage just because the kick doesn't connect, but you still get 35 throw damage, which is good. And another neat part about this move is it's a wall stun. So if you happen to hit them and they hit the wall, they'll get a stun and you can go for a combo. Okay, so starting with his mids, this is kind of a universal thing with every character, is 6P. It's fast at 14 frames. You're gonna want to use this a lot, like after confirming your hits, so you can continue your pressure and interrupt them if they're trying to take their turn back. Unfortunately, it's only 0 on block or hit, so you can still try to take your turn back, but if you know they like to take their turn back and they know it's 0 on hit, you can sidestep. Like most moves that are even like -9 moves, you can sidestep after. The only thing is you're probably not going to get a punish after it, so that's the only caveat. He can go into his stance from here, both stances, but like I said, I'll go over them after just going over his key moves. Next is his 3 PP. So on hit, this staggers him and he has a follow-up. It can be delayed, so you can kind of hit confirm it and then you can go for your juggle combo. On block, this is -9. So like I said, it's one of those moves you can still sidestep, but you probably won't get much after. So yeah, the opponent can block in time, or probably sidestep themselves. On counter hit, it really doesn't have much of a different property, other than you just get slightly more damage. And the full version is -7, but it ends in a high, so your opponent can just duck it and punish it. So be careful when trying to go into it, especially against a good VF player that knows that ends in a high. Next is his 3K. He has a few extensions to this, but the initial hit is 16 frame startup and -6 on block. This is a really good poke to use, so you can like poke, sidestep, and maybe even backdash if they try to take their turn back with a mid or something, or maybe even a down poke, you can backdash out of it. The extensions it has is KK, so you can do 3KK. The second kick is a high, so be careful, and it's -8 on block. The next extension is punch. Again, it ends in a high, but it's only -4, so you're at slightly just less advantage, or more advantage. So again, you can like do backdash or sidestep, or if you know they like to do like take their turns back with a high, you can do a down poke and you'll just dodge the high and take your turn back. He also has a third hit extension from this. However, it is -15 on block, so you can get punished pretty heavy. But if you happen to counter hit them with this, you will stagger them for a combo. So 52 damage for a counter hit, and that's not bad at all. So next is Kage's P+K. It's like this double swiping move he does. It's 17 frame startup and +4 on hit, but unfortunately it kind of knocks them back kind of far. So you can't really follow up with much, and they could probably even like whip punish you for trying to do something that doesn't reach them. But you could do something like 3K, which reaches, so there's that. On block, it's -3, which is really good because it has really good pushback and can set you up for whiff punishes. Pretty much sets you up for a spacing trap, and then can bop your opponent. And on counter hit, it doesn't change much, other than giving you just slightly more advantage and more damage. Against the wall, this does stagger the opponent, as you can see the joystick wiggle on the side. And that means you can follow up for a combo. I also forgot to mention this with 3K. This is also a wall stagger. So it's a wall starter. If you have your opponent up against the wall, you can just poke them with it and then confirm into a combo and just delete their health bar. Next is 6P+K. It's kind of a slower move, but the cool thing about it is on hit, you can go for a guaranteed grab. Like, they can't duck that or anything. So as you can see, I have the dummy crouching, and I'll be able to get the guaranteed throw after. And that's pretty strong. On block, it's -6, but also has really good pushback, setting up for a spacing trap, or you can sidestep if your opponent retaliates. And on counter hit, you get slightly more advantage and more damage, but you don't get any different throws. So after this, you get a guaranteed throw, and that's quite a bit of damage put together. Next is 3K plus G. It's this like somersault kick thing he does. It's super minus on block, so you're going to want to be careful just kind of throwing it out there. The main way you're going to be using it is after ducking a high and to punish your opponent. So that's going to be Kage's main way of punishing highs. Next is 2K plus G. This is a really good and fast mid at 17 frames. And it's -7 on block, but it has decent spacing depending on how far you hit it. On hit, it knocks the opponent back and gives you 25 damage, but you don't really get anything off of it. And even on counter hit, you still don't get anything off of it, but you get a big chunk of damage taken off the opponent's health bar. And this is Kage's main wall splat move. So if you're against the wall, this is going to be like his main wall splat starter, and you can get huge damage. 6K plus G is Ryu's flip kick or cartwheel. This is a starter for a combo and staggers the opponent. So he can go for a little small combo after. That gives him pretty decent damage. However, this is -16 on block, which is really bad. If you misspace it and mistime it, like trying to whiff punish your opponent, you will get punished very hard. And K plus G is this big axe kick Kage does. It's really slow, so the way you're going to want to do it is like after big plus frames. So if you do something like 6P plus K, you can use the advantage from that and go into like K plus G. And again, if they block it, you're +2. So you can go for a 6K follow-up or just a P follow-up or something to keep them in check. You're going to want to follow up with something fast so that way they don't mash on you. Whatever you follow up with, they can sidestep, so just be careful of that. One last mid I forgot to go over was Kage's 4-6 PP. This is a pretty fast mid, and you can delay it. The first hit is -2 on hit, and the second hit is -1. But that's not too bad, because you can still maybe try to take your turn back with a quick down P or 2P, or you can just try to sidestep if you know your opponent's going to take their turn back. On block, it's -6. So you can, again, sidestep if you know your opponent likes to take their turn back. And he can also go into his stance from this, which will also be a good mix-up, and leaves him +1 on block. But the juicy part is if your opponent tries to mash and you delay it, they will get counter hit and launched, and you can follow up with a combo. Not the full combo, but hey, that's some damage. And last for his mids is 4-6 plus K. It's this knee that only leaves him +1 on hit, but it's a big counter hit button that will leave them staggered, and you can follow up for a combo. So yeah, you can get like 81 damage off of it if you land a counter hit. So it's really good to keep your opponent in check. So again, you can do something like this, but pretend it's not like counter hit. And then you can follow up with this, and if they mash, you'll get a big counter hit. 2P plus K is another good mid of Kage's. It's 16 frames, which is, really good for a mid. It's +1 on hit, so he can go for like a 4P follow-up if he wants to keep his pressure, or just a 2P. It has an extension of K, but it's not a real follow-up. And if the opponent blocks it, you're back turned and -20. So you're like just asking for death at that point. But the main use for it is to convert combos. Like so. The initial hit is -5 on block, which is pretty good. Kage can sidestep, or if his opponent goes for something slow, he can 2P him and check him. But the good thing on counter hit about this move is you can stagger them and go for a 4PK follow-up for guaranteed damage. So you get 63 damage and a knockdown. Make sure if you land that to confirm into it. It's really easy because you'll see the joystick on the right, so it's like a visual indicator. So for Kage's lows, he has some pretty okay lows. Starting off, he has his 1K, which is this sweep, and it gives him a knockdown. And so if his opponent doesn't get up immediately, he can go for a down attack, which is 3K. However, if they block it, he's minus 31 and can get punished very bad. Next is his 2K, which is this alright poke. It's got decent range, but it's minus 6 on hit, which kind of sucks. This is probably his worst on hit move. But it can be good to check your opponent at range still. But if you land a counter hit, you're 0 on hit, which is even better. Because you can still take your turn back with like a 2P or even a 6P. Because you know your opponent, they see they get counter hit because of the red spark. So they probably might think you're plus on hit. And so you can go for like a follow-up of some sort. And his last low is his 66K, which is this kind of low sweep. You can react to it fairly well. Again, it's 29 frames, which is very reactable. It's slower than DI in Street Fighter. But if on hit he gets a knockdown, he can again go for a knockdown hit. But the thing is, your opponent can tech roll after this. So you won't get your down attack after if your opponent knows that they can tech roll.